Should I do the taglines that are just in Danish?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
I can. All right, let's see how this goes.
The long Danish one, though. You can't
That's
get the short one.
what I'm trying for. Der Venter, Bien, Ludlow, Vlier, Nye, Distry, Over,
my God.
Sackesler, Welcome to I Hope You Suffer, question mark.
You nailed it.
Perfect Danish.
Moving to Denmark. of I Hope You
Yeah.
Suffer.
Who knows? It's the end.
Yes, it's the end times. My name is Nathan,
I'm Kit.
I'm Katie.
and we are joined by special guest Megan from the band Couch Slut.
Hello.
Hi. We are so when when Kit and I first started talking about this podcast, Megan and I are in a DM that I was like, oh, we're like doing this, and like I'm pretty sure this was the first movie that Megan was just like, if you do this movie, I want on it. So we are doing a Pet Sematary 2.
Woo!
Hell yeah.
Only like a year and a half later, but
yeah,
that's okay.
you know. Kit and I got distracted by movies like Nudist Colony of the Dead.
Oh,
As one
Christ.
does.
Yes. So Megan, why don't you tell us what you love about this movie?
There's a dog, obviously. So there's a cop. A cop gets killed. There's a dog, and there's really nice boobs in the movie toward the end.
I had never seen this before. This was a first time watch.
Oh my God!
And
Are you serious?
I am into it. This movie rules.
Oh my God. So I first seen this movie probably when it came out. Like, my mom is super into horror films. And I was like, oh man, this movie, where a dog comes back as a zombie, sign me up. So I remember having like the biggest fucking crush on young Edward Furlong when I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. And I loved the dog so much, and I like wished this fucking zombie dog could be real, and then I could have it. But
That's the mood.
Yes.
yeah. So I've seen this movie easily, I don't know, 100 times, and
I like.
yeah, it's the best sequel to any movie ever. In fact, I think it's scores better than the original. Like, fuck the original Pet Sematary.
Oh, you and Katie
This
are about
one
to
is the
fight.
good one. It's okay.
No,
It's fine.
like I like both of them a lot. I can't tell yet because this obviously is still like fresh in my mind. I feel like I like this one more, but like I'm gonna have to like sit with it a little bit. Like I wasn't expecting it to be as like gory as it was,
Yeah.
which rules. Like, and I did take it. Like I said, I didn't take any notes, so I don't know who's the guy Kit that plays the cop.
Oh,
Clancy Brown.
He plays the
Clancy Brown.
cop.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
he plays the
He's-
cop on like everything.
He's so good.
Don't you hate him so much?
He's
Yes.
terrible.
He's like, last week we did Night Flyer, and like the main actor in it, we were talking about how he's like the best actor at just being a dick on screen.
Yeah.
And so like this,
Yeah.
I think this guy's like up there too. Like he is so good at just being a fucking asshole.
It begs the question, like, do these people act?
Yeah.
Was someone like, oh fuck, I have this neighbor who's a total fucking asshole, like he'd be great for your film, let me call him up.
This guy looks
Like, you look
he-
at, what's that guy's name, Danny Trejo. He was like actually like a prison gang dude.
Yeah, that's why he's just pretty much only played like gang members and shit and prisoners in like every movie until like the last 5 years.
Right. So I do think that Clancy Brown is probably a rapist cop.
I bet he's just actually secretly a cop in real life.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think we can also cite like Gary Busey as somebody who
Yeah.
doesn't need to act either. as
Yeah.
Busey.
Considering like every time you look up a Gary Busey movie, one of the trivia things is like he just pretty much improvised all of his lines. Like
He felt a kinship to this rapist cop, and so here we are with Pet Sematary 2.
Gary Busey really got into the role of playing a killer gingerbread cookie, so all right, so Katie, I want to hear your thoughts before we dive into like the plot, because I know when we talked about this, you were just like, I don't think I like this movie.
I think So I saw this movie when I was in high school. I don't really know like how long it had been out. But I remember when I watched it, I did not like it at all. Like at all. And I only watched it that one time because as I've said so many times, the original Cemetery is like one of my favorite movies and books and like has been. So I was really not into like I don't know. I just didn't like it. And upon watching it today, I actually do like it. There are a couple of things in it that bother me, but overall, I think this is one of the most successful like revisitings to a movie that I've done. Um, so I actually liked it.
Nice.
Nice.
What about you, Kit?
I don't remember the first time I saw this. It was ages ago. It was just like on Netflix or something, and I had no idea there was a sequel to Pet Sematary. And I was like, "How the fuck do you make a sequel?" And I put it on, and I was super won over right around the time Clancy Brown kills the kid with the dirt bike.
Yes.
I was like,
Yes, he does.
That's
I'm
literally the
so
only
into this.
scene from the movie that I remembered. Like it stuck with me the whole time, and I was like, and actually like isn't like I think maybe Nathan pointed out that this movie is like a little bit more gory than the first one, which I think is cool. They like really went for it, but that scene in general, I remember being like so much worse than it ended up being like on rewatching it. I was like, oh, it actually wasn't that bad.
I mostly just remember him like taunting and lowering the wheel, and he's just like having a great time, like woohoo!
Yeah.
He's just,
like hooting and hollering.
just
Yeah.
revisiting a time he like killed a teenager in his neighborhood before.
Pretty much. He's like, don't worry, I got material to work off the scene.
I can't wait to get sued by Clancy Brown.
Fuck him.
Does he still do stuff?
I mean,
I feel like he turned into like a James Woods kind of guy.
God, probably.
I may be wrong. Like, I just feel like that's the only next step.
Wow.
Yeah. Because he's like old now.
Just start.
He is
I think it's been all right.
He's in
I
a
don't think
new
he's been
SpongeBob
that bad,
movie
for sure.
as Mr. Krabs.
Wait, he
What?
plays Mr. Is he?
Yeah.
Does he voice Mr.
He's
Krabs?
Mr. Krabs.
Holy
Yeah.
shit, that's wild.
Well, and he also was
Oh
in a
my
Tangled
God.
cartoon series, so took a sharp turn there
What
to
the
cartoons.
fuck? This man is only 61 years old.
He looks 61 in this movie.
Right.
Right. He looks mad old right now. He looks like a fucking corpse.
He looks even
Oh my
scarier
God.
with long hair and a beard.
Ugh.
Maybe he actually did die in Pet Sematary too, and they brought him back for real.
I think so.
Goodness. That blew my mind that he's Mr. Krabs of like all characters.
I
All right,
Ah,
go ahead and take over,
sorry.
Katie, because I got.
Really quick. So, Pet Sematary 2 did come out in 1992.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did indeed see it when it came out when I was 7. Just
Did
like
this-
I remembered.
Did this play in theaters or did you guys like rent it?
No, it was my mom rented it.
Okay, I've wondered if this like actually. ever
We
played
went to
in theater.
Blockbuster a lot.
Yeah, same.
So.
I don't know if it was in the theater, but so obviously like Pet Sematary 2 is based off of Pet Sematary, so it's like not based off of an actual like its own story. And they brought back director Mary Lambert, who's the one who directed the first one, which is in part why I think this movie still is like good and really works, because a lot of times I feel like when they do a sequel, it's everybody is new, and so that's when you're like, no, it doesn't really have this. So like this still has, I don't know, it's still good. Originally, but Stephen King just like took his name off the project before it came out because he was like, I'm gonna dip now.
He's like, I gotta dip. I gotta go direct maximum overdrive.
Right, I need to make a movie about a killing iron machine.
You guys, I got this cool idea for a movie called Dreamcatcher. It's got aliens called shit weasels in it.
Jesus. Okay, so the original Pet Sematary obviously came out in '89, made $57 million. This sequel made $17 million. So
No shit.
$17 for Megan renting it.
$17, right? From renting it multiple times. The only other thing I think is sort of interesting is like originally, so obviously Stephen King had nothing to do with writing this movie, but originally when they like conceived of making it, it was supposed to follow Ellie Creed, who is the surviving daughter from the first one. It was supposed to follow her, but they were like, we don't really want the lead to be a teenage girl, so they just like completely rewrote it with like new characters and stuff, which is lame. But maybe that's part of why it's like still good, because I don't really know what else you can do with her. Like she doesn't have anyone to whatever. Who cares? Yeah.
This came out before Terminator 2, right?
Yeah.
Or like around the same time,
right?
maybe.
Terminator 2 was 92, but I think it was summer.
I think it came out. I don't know. Because I remember reading a lot about like that's why they cast him, but maybe it was vice versa. I don't know.
I was just trying
Edward
to figure out
Furlong.
where this was at,
right.
like before.
You know what? Let's look it up quickly because
Terminator came out in
obviously-
91. Terminator 2. So it was
Terminator
like right
2,
before.
yeah, was in 91.
Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out where this was at in like the timeline of Edward Furlong being huge for like 2 years and then disappearing
Yeah.
to do like The Crow 4 or some shit.
Can we do that Crow movie?
Yeah.
I
on
will
here
do
at some point.
all of
Can we
them
do all
that
of
aren't
them?
the first one.
I want
Hell
to.
yeah.
Well,
Crow month.
yeah,
We could just do like the
Crow
fucking
month.
shitty TV series too.
I'm down.
I know you are.
Okay, so I think that's all of the backstory kind of stuff on it. So we're gonna just like start the movie. So basically, we start with the moon and the woods and spooky sound effects, and we see a dog that has red eyes who does not matter to the story at all. We open on a woman who's wearing a white dress in a castle, and she comes down the stairs and kneels by like a big coffin type thing, and then a skeleton. Ooh, also she like the bottom of the like cemetery thing or the tomb is like filled with water, which is really gross and made me cringe to watch her walk in it. And then a skeleton grabs her and
Bone
she
juice,
screams.
Katie.
The bone juice,
Yeah.
yeah. And
That
then the director
sarcophagus
yells cut.
juice from like 2 years ago.
Oh, the black, yeah. So then it's a movie set, and there's a bunch of movie set stuff that happens. And then we get this like quick shot of water dripping onto equipment, because these people don't know how to actually like set up a set correctly, apparently.
This was before safety standards in Hollywood.
I guess so.
What you don't
In
realize,
1992,
what-
the turn.
what you don't realize is Edward Furlong was actually cast in this movie because he was working backstage on the movie as like a stagehand.
Wait, are
Just-
you serious?
No. It's just,
Literally nothing Nathan says is ever true, so don't listen to him. Except for that Queens of the Stone Age apparently was in Hot Rod. That's the only thing that's been true. And I didn't confirm that, actually.
I
But
mean, that's true per the director's commentary. So they could
Okay.
also be lying.
I mean... Okay, so the lady in the movie's name is Renee, and her son is Jeff, who is Edward Furlong. And he's the main character pretty much. Okay, so Jeff asks his mom if his dad can come to the set for dinner because he quote unquote misses her. So you get the idea that like he's trying to set his parents up as some kind of like parent trap kind of thing, but it goes really wrong because that's not what happens. So she's like, yeah, your dad can come, but don't get your hopes up. And he's like, okay, cool. So then they resume rolling on the movie. So she goes down there again, and this time they have more skeleton guys down there because, movie magic. But one of the guys knocks over some kind of equipment, and then Renee gets electrocuted for a very long time. And she's dead. So
End of
then
movie.
yeah, that's it.
Well, at least the one she was filming, I guess.
Aw. So then we cut to family. Oh, I was gonna say one of the things that I really hate about this movie, and like I knew what I was signing up for because it's called Pet Sematary, but the amount of animals that die in this movie made me very sad.
Yeah.
So that being said,
I
we
like
cut
to
to a
believe
family
all of them came back to life.
as a zombie.
All the like
Oh, yeah,
skinned rabbits and
like
shit.
literally what the movie is about. So
Yeah.
I would like a third where they take all of the rabbits and put them
Yes.
in there.
So they
so
all
the
come
rabbits
back with no skin.
They all
That
are
would
like,
be
oh my
horrifying.
god. Then they could do like a
I'd avoid-
big like Pet Cemetery Bunnicula spinoff. That would be the best.
There you go. Trademark. I hope you suffer.
All right, TM, yeah. Okay, so they're putting a dog down, and the doctor, whose name I wrote Dad a bunch, but his name is Chase, gets a call from his son Jeff, and then they show his mom's dead, charred face, and then there's the funeral. So they're at the funeral. This is where you get introduced to Gus, who is the sheriff, who is Clancy Brown, and he is our quintessential Stephen King like northern Pet Cemetery sheriff, with his accent and everything. So they just like sort of talk, and you find out that Jeff and his dad are moving to the quote unquote summer house in Ludlow, which is where, well, outside of Ludlow, which is where the first Pet Cemetery takes place. So basically, you get a bunch of Jeff being a brat about everything. He wants to keep his mom's clothes, and then Marjorie comes in, who is their new housekeeper, and apparently she was like a super big fan of the mom, Renee. And Jeff is really mad about that. He's just mean to her the whole time.
This kid has some issues.
well,
Like-
yeah, y'all, his mom was killed, and now he has to go live in this fucked up town where there
Like-
are ghosts.
Got to deal with like
and like a zombie
Zombies.
child.
the worst fucking bully on the planet.
Oh my
It's
god.
super, super weird that the like housekeeper, like as soon as she walks in, all that stuff falls down the stairs. And she just picks up a dress and is like, "Oh my god, this was her dress from whatever."
Yeah.
That's a little.
She's totally like, I'm gonna fuck your dad in this dress.
I'm your mom now.
That's right. I really wish there would have been some kind of like weird turn like that instead of them just like treating her like that's what's happening, even though she's like a completely normal person.
This movie
Well,
would have been
she's
fucking
not.
amazing if it was like Basic Instinct and fucking Pet Cemetery combined.
With zombies, right? Yeah, and then Jeff's like, my mom doesn't like when you touch her things. So like we could have had a psycho spin too in that. So Jeff goes to work with his dad. So his dad is an animal doctor, and
So,
he's
a
taking over.
veterinarian.
Yes, he's taking because I wrote animal hospital. So he takes over at this animal hospital from the guy who retired. And apparently the guy retired 2 years ago, so the place is like hella creepy. There's like spider webs everywhere. You get this like long shot of him. Basically, he's like walking around and it's creepy, and he gets scared by a cat. And then we see the most adorable box of kittens. Every time I saw a single animal in this movie, I was like, oh no, because I knew
waiting.
something bad was gonna happen. Yeah. So he finds this box of kittens. Also, he like scared the mom away and was just like, I'm keeping them. I was like, rude. So Jeff says that he wants to keep one of the kittens, and the dad's like, yeah, you gotta clean all these kennels though. And I was like, his mom just died. Give him a fucking kitten. Like, why does he have to do chores? So then the sheriff, Gus, and his stepson, Drew, show up with a dog, to the animal hospital that is not open, but that's fine. Comes in with his dog, Zowie, who is very adorable.
Great name.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm glad I get to say it like 20 times because this dog is like a main character. comes in and basically was beat up by a bunch of rabbits. So he needs to be looked at. And then so this is the first hint we get that Gus is like a piece of trash, because he tells Jeff that he and his mom used to date, and that they did the whole 9 yards or something like that. And I was like, technically, wouldn't that be getting married and having a kid? Like, you just went to prom with her.
I think
Like,
he
calm
meant
down.
anal.
Oh.
Not looking to contact him.
I will make a mental note.
Just changes the entire movie.
And that's the end. Goodbye. Okay, so Jeff goes to school and, like a freaking idiot, brings the kitten. And the teacher doesn't notice somehow. After class, we get the bullies show up. One of them is Jared Rushton, which people might know from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yes.
So he became... I don't really know that he was in that much else, but that's like the thing that I recognized him from anyways. So he's basically like steals the cat who Jeff has named Tiger, and they run out of the school. They're chasing on bikes, and they basically ride past this house, and the mailbox says Creed House. It's like the Creed house. So it's the main characters from their first story. So they're basically at the path to the cemetery. One of the what's the bully's Clyde? His name's Clyde. So I'm just gonna say Clyde because the other bullies like do not matter at all in this movie. So Clyde basically says, I'm not gonna go into details because it makes me sad, but says that the cat had an accident. One of the kids is like, have you heard about the Creed murders? And they're just like ignoring him. And Clyde says something about like he should dig up his mom and bury him in the back and then pray, and maybe she'll come back to life. So Jeff very satisfyingly punches him in the face. They get in a fight and they like wrestle a little bit, and then the bullies leave. So
Clyde is
Jeff goes
like the worst bully I think I've seen in a movie in a long time, because like they always make the bullies so like overly like vicious in some of these movies, and like this was one of them where I was like, this sucks. I want this kid to die so bad.
For real. And you know, especially because he's wearing like a cross earring.
It was 1992.
Oh yeah, they were really like trying to riff on the Lost Boys.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, get
like
the fuck out of here, Clyde.
super hard.
Well, and he's got like the blonde hair too.
Yeah.
So like for sure. And he has that little motorbike. So
Yeah.
get out of here. We see you, okay? All right. So also like it's one thing to be a bully, but if you're like endangering an animal, you're literally a psychopath. So like anyways.
Oh wait, isn't he but he's like the son of the cop, so obviously he's like a sack of shit.
Wait, is he?
No, he's
no.
not.
Yeah.
I thought Drew.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, Drew, that's right. Oh my god,
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm very high right now.
Drew is there, and I don't like when all the bullies leave. Drew like gets on his bike and looks like he's gonna follow them also, which I was like question mark. I didn't really understand that. So basically, Jeff is gonna go follow the path. You see the pet cemetery sign, and like we see he like walks through the pet cemetery, and thankfully finds Tiger in a bird cage and gets him, and he's fine. And
Cats go.
huh?
So that's not where cats go.
No. That's the opposite. Which this pet cemetery is very weird, because there's that one point when he's like walking by and somebody had buried like a turkey, and there was like a fake turkey head on a spike next to it, and I was like, doesn't really seem like they're honoring this turkey, but whatever. Okay, so then Jeff sees the deadfall, which is, if you've never seen Pet Sematary, it's basically just like a bunch of trees that have like blocked the path, and there's a sign that says "Keep out," and he's like, allure to it, of course. So Drew shows up and they basically bond. Drew says that he wishes Gus would die, which same. So then like we see a bunch of bunnies humping. And at first I was like, why do they have so many bunnies? But then I saw there's a sign that says like they basically breed and sell bunnies, which maybe don't do that because there was literally like 50 bunnies in one cage and it made me sad.
I missed all of the stuff with the bunnies at the beginning. Like all of a sudden there was just like a bunch of bunny carcasses like later in the movie, and I was like, where'd these things come from?
Yeah. And Gus is like rigging some sort of electrical fence, which you don't know why yet. Jeff's dad and Marjorie are home. Jeff comes home and is a dick to Marjorie and says, "You're not my mother." And I'm like, okay, chill. All she said was, "First days of school are hard." And you were like, "Stop trying to fuck my dad." I'm like, I don't think that's what's happening. So, God, this part makes me so mad. So Gus comes home and is mad that Zowie, who is the injured dog, is inside the house. And Drew's like, "Can we please just like keep him inside? He's hurt." And Gus is like, "No." Then he starts manhandling Drew's mom in front of him, you know, Cash. And there's like all this tension about Drew's trying to watch TV. Gus wants him to turn it off. And Gus is mean to him about how much dinner he's eating. And then it's bad. So then later,
real cop hours.
Oh my God, right? I do like that, because like Drew obviously has a bad time about it, but I do love when he's like turned the TV off and he like points the remote right at Gus's face, like trying to turn.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, go Drew. So then Gus and yeah, we do. R.I.P. No, just kidding. Yeah, so Gus and Drew's mom are trying to pork, and Zowie is outside jumping at the rabbits and gets electrocuted, and then Gus decides that he's just going to shoot Zowie. Okay, this makes me so mad because, like, first of all, don't shoot animals, right? But he's like, "I told you that you can't, like, your dog is going to learn." And I'm like, first of all, the dog wouldn't be outside if you would just let it inside in the first place. Like, that would have fixed all of the problems. So, literally, it's his fault. The dog is just whatever. So, he shoots him, and Zowie runs off. Drew goes looking for him and finds him wounded and, like, sits with him. And there's, like, this 90s grudge music playing for some reason. I don't know. And so then the next day, Drew and Jeff go to bury Zowie in the pet cemetery. And Drew is like, "No, we're not going to bury him here. We're going to bury him over the deadfall in the quote-unquote Indian burial ground." So Drew is like, "Yeah, he'll come back to life. I've heard these stories." And Jeff is just kind of like, WTF, all right. So they just do it. So then after that, Drew is just like walking down the middle of the street, as you do. And Gus shows up and is like, "What are you doing?" And Drew's like, "I had to bury my dog." And Gus literally says, "Life is full of lessons." Like, what? What's the lesson here? That you're a fucking dickhead? Like, are you kidding? It made me so mad.
Yeah, the people in, like, well, like, per usual in most, granted this isn't a straight up adaptation, but a Stephen King sort of related movie, everybody is the worst all the time.
Everyone's garbage. Everybody, even like the good people. So, or they're like good and then they just like break and now they're psychos.
That Carrie.
Well, shh.
Look, the only good person in any Stephen King movie is Kathy Bates in Misery.
Yes.
Hard stand.
Yes. Very good portrayal of normalcy and goodness in the world. Okay, so that night, Zowie basically comes back and it's like attacking the rabbits, and the mom is just like, "Oh, okay, this is normal. It's Zowie." Gus thinks that Drew lied about Zowie dying, and I'm like, would you look at that
Normal.
fucking dog? He looks so he's like a zombie. He's like completely dirty, and his face is just like so mad. Like that's not a normal dog.
Not to mention
But
the
Nobody.
like
I'll
massive
say nobody
wound.
questioned the like gaping wound. Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's like
Cash.
oozing
Oh,
the
just leave it to
pustule.
Zowie, just having a big wound per usual.
a wound that doesn't heal. Oh, Zowie.
I will say the
So-
grossest thing in like this movie, and I know I guess this is probably something that happens in real life, but just the straight gauze to that wound, like when he's at the
Yeah.
vet, just bums me out so much because I'm just like, that feels like an infection waiting to happen.
Yeah.
This movie has also, like, we've talked about in the past how we don't like a neck wound. This movie has excessive neck wounds. Almost everybody gets a neck wound of some kind.
Entirely. Zowie's the only one without a neck wound.
Yeah, he has like a groin wound, if you will. It's like, so,
Have we gotten
Yeah,
to
so-
any of the like Jeff hallucinations of his mom yet?
no.
Because those are the best
It's-
part of this entire movie.
It's like literally about to happen. I agree, because, I love a wolf person, but
They look
not a furry, but
some of them
I'll
look.
explain.
Katie just came out as a furry, but
No. So basically, they call Jeff and his dad to come and look at Zoe's wound, and Jeff is basically just like, for real, like, I don't know, like thinks that Zowie didn't actually die, and Drew's just like, yeah, man, it happened. So this is when Jeff is sleeping. He has a nightmare where his mom is calling to him and is in a rocking chair, and then when Jeff looks at it, she's got like Zowie's demon dog head, and he's like, ah, and then it's just okay. Here's the part that bothers me. So he has this hallucination of seeing his mom with a demon dog head, and then when he wakes up, it's actually the demon dog Zowie sitting in the rocking chair, and he's just like, whatever, that's not weird. But he looks so like he's about to kill him, and he just is like, that's fine. Unless that was also a hallucination, I don't know, but
Should have done back-to-back dreams. So he wakes up from the dog-headed mom to Zowie's body with his mom's head, and then he wakes up again to just Zowie.
well, maybe I don't.
I think it's one of the ones that happens later in the movie, but the wolf head looks so terrible. And I love it so much.
It's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. Like, it definitely looks better than Silver Bullet wolf head.
I think it adds to the weirdness of it, because it looks like just fake enough to where it's like, oh, that's disconcerting. I really don't like that.
Yeah, the thing that's really weird about it too is that it's not just like a wolf or dog head on a person. It's like the animal's neck also. So it's like you can tell their head is inside the neck, and it's like really long. So it's like crazy looking. I don't know. So then you get this like short little thing of Chase, who is Jeff's dad, like looking at Zowie, Jesus, and seeing basically that it's been 3 days and the wound is not healing at all, and he doesn't have a heartbeat, which they don't seem super concerned about. He doesn't. He's just like, well, it's strange, weird. Another day in the office. Yeah, so now it is Halloween, and Drew is a vampire, and he's Dracula, and his mom is like, you can go out, but you have to be back by 10, because if Gus finds out, he's basically going to beat us, which, leave, please. Like, don't stay with this man. But anyways, Jeff is Jason, I think. Dressed up as Jason. So Drew and Jeff go to this pet cemetery, and basically the bullies have like rigged up a mannequin to fly at him, and he thinks it's his mom, so he freaks out. Then everybody laughs at him, but then they stay there for some reason. Gus comes home early because he's out of cigs, and sees that Drew is not there, and basically.
greatest family like on earth. And I gotta come home from work early, bitch. I'm out of my cigarettes. Like,
Also, he keeps them in like a drawer in the like walkway of the house. Like, what a weird place to keep your. Well, I assume he just has them stashed everywhere. I guess I don't know. So, sees that Drew isn't there and is like rude, like mean to the mom about it, and then she's like, he's at the pet cemetery. So Gus is like, "Rrr," and he leaves. So Clyde is like telling some story about the Creeds, which is he just like makes up some story about how the mom, or maybe did he say the sister, or he I don't know. He's like telling a scary story. Gus shows up and everyone's like, and runs. Gus starts literally punching Drew in the face, like wailing on him, and picks up one of the wooden crosses from like one of the pet graves and is about to hit him, but then Zowie shows up and bites his throat open.
Yes.
And it's good. It feels good, you know?
I find it very weird that like they're just hanging out with these kids that were like bullying them the day before.
That's what right? And also just literally singled him out, a prank about his like dead mom. Like,
right.
What? And then they're just like, whatever.
There's a shot earlier when the kid brings the kitten to school. It's like there are obviously other children you could be hanging out with and not these shitheads. But you hang out with like the one people at school who don't like you. So
I mean, I guess. Also, they're 13. Like, you can still trick or treat, but whatever. Okay, so basically, yeah. So Gus gets his throat ripped open, and he dies instantly, which I don't know. I feel like not that much of his throat was taken out. Maybe he'd be okay. I don't know.
That was tender neck meat he got ripped out, so he should have died immediately.
Guess so.
yeah.
So
also, the dog could have snapped his like spinal cord or something.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, it also seems like a really bad way to go. So I enjoyed it. They, instead of just like letting what happened and being like, hey, our dog clearly rabid, you can look at it and see something's wrong with him, like attacked Gus and he's dead, and let's just leave it at that. They decide that they need to bring him back to life. Who knows why? And so they bury him in the burial grounds. Both boys get in trouble basically for being out late, but then they're sort of just like, whatever. You get this shot of Jeff sleeping on top of the covers like a psycho, and it's like thundering and raining, and Gus is like outside his window, so you can see that Gus is back. So at Drew's house, he's sleeping in his dirty grave clothes, also just on top of his bed. And Gus is like, Drew, I forgot my keys. And so he goes to open the front door, and when he turns around, Gus is already there, looking crazy. Because he was buried and also has a neck wound, just a little bit. I absolutely love when he comes back as this like zombie, because he acts so, he's just like floppy, and it's just like so funny to watch.
Can we just talk about how amazing every single one of his lines are from the time he's a zombie, like the whole movie?
Yeah. So he basically like he also does this thing where he's like, found my keys, and you're just like, all right, man.
He just becomes the Joker at this point. It's
oh my
delightful.
God, yeah, pretty much. So then he's basically just like, hey man, I need a shower. And when he walks up the stairs, he just like falls and then starts laughing. It's funny. So he goes upstairs and he's running the shower, and we get the scene. We get like his neck wound that he also just applies gauze to. And he's looking real gross. And basically the mom is like, hey, I'm sorry for telling Drew he can go out. Like, don't be mad. Like, come to bed. And he comes to bed really gross and basically, like, assaults her. I think that's what they're alluding to.
It's such a weird scene.
It is, and it's, like, really gross because Anyways, so you get the scene basically of Drew saying that Gus is nice now, like essentially, and then Chase is at his practice. He gets a call from a doctor who is like sawing a dog's head open, which is very disgusting, like as he's talking to Chase, and I was like, can you not? We don't really. And so basically Chase finds out that Zoe's blood sample came back as being from a dead animal, and Chase is like not listening to him really. He's sort of just like, what are you talking about? Why don't you just give me the results? And the guy's like, he's dead.
I like that he's
like,
he's also just like, you fucking pranksters keep sending me like blood from dead animals, like it's happened to more than once.
I know. Yeah.
Everyone from this town keeps sending me samples of dead animals. So this we're expected to believe a veterinarian moves into a town with a working pet cemetery. And he's like, yeah, it's a good place to live. Sit on my roots here. No big deal. Like, no one knows in this whole town.
Well, so they made it like a really, really big point of the first pet cemetery to be basically like it was happening when the town was like sort of younger, and then they started seeing things and were kind of like, it was the older people's job to be like, hey, don't do this because like this is crazy. But since most of those people are dead now, I guess.
Good point.
But still, the cemetery is freaking huge. Like, I personally have never seen an actual pet cemetery in my whole life. I mean, I know that they exist, but like, I would think that that's like sort of a strange practice because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know I mean, that's what I assume the explanation is, but it's still really strange. Also, whatever. Okay,
I think they all got like Men in Blacked.
Maybe.
Oh.
Right, so at this point it's kind of like because Drew obviously knows that the stories about burying people like over the deadfall will bring them back to life or whatever, but I think now there's just nobody. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. So, yeah. So basically the other guy's like, hey, this other guy sent me samples of dead animals too. Blah, weird. So like during this whole thing, this mom and these two little twins come in to adopt some of the kittens that they found in the beginning of the movie. And this is like maybe the worst scene of the whole movie where basically they go back there and Zowie has literally bent the bars of his cage somehow and gotten out and eaten all the kittens, and the little girls see it and it's really scary. So Chase is like, oh, that's not great, and goes to the school and
That's not great.
yeah, literally says to like Jeff and Drew, so Zowie is sick. Call me if you see him. Bye, and just like leaves. Like, okay. So he goes to a taxidermist, and this guy is taxidermying a pug.
This scene's so
This
weird.
this is the worst scene in the movie. This is the scariest one. He's reaching into the pug's butt and popping its eyes out.
Like, okay, the idea of a taxidermied pug with blue eyes sounds so terrifying to me.
Oh man, not for nothing, but I've already looked into getting Sarge taxidermied when he dies, and I found a place in the Poconos that will do it for relatively cheap, considering they like put a warming like thing inside the corpse so that the animal like stays warm.
Weird.
Which sounds nice.
Huh.
Yeah. Theo says absolutely not. It's not going to be happening, but I'm getting that dog taxidermy.
Guys, I don't think Theo.
He's going to stay with me
I
forever.
don't think Theo has a say
Chris
in
always jokes about getting Merlin like stuffed after, and I'm like, can we just get one of those like lifelike stuffed animals made of him, because those are also very expensive.
Yeah.
And then it's a stuffed animal and not our actual animal. But
well, my thinking on this goes to, so I'm going to die eventually, and whoever is like responsible with getting rid of my shit is gonna have to be saddled with the response. Like, what do you do with this 90-pound dog? Like he's a big dog,
Yeah.
you know. Some like niece or nephew of mine is gonna have to like, what do? You sell it at a fucking yard sale? You can't. You can't throw it away, you know.
You have to sell it to like an oddity shop.
Yeah. So my whole thing is like a 2-part. You know, it's like I get to keep Sarge forever, but then also give someone a pain in the ass like after I die.
Then someone else also has to keep him forever.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you thought this out.
Yeah.
It's making me rethink things.
Listen, I smoke a lot of weed. Like, of course, I thought about this many times.
Okay, so basically you find out that this taxidermist is the old veterinarian who checked out Church after Church is the cat from the first movie, for people who don't know.
Seems convenient.
Yeah, okay, so never mind, I'll get into it later. Okay, so he checked out Church, and so basically he is now like, Zowie's dead, you better leave now, ha ha ha! And that's the last time we see him. He's basically
Very
just
helpful.
like a crazy old taxidermist. Okay, so, oh no, this is the part. This is the only other problem that I have with the movie, is that I really enjoy the little tie-ins that they did to the first one, because I feel like a lot of times in sequels they don't do that, and it's kind of surprising to me that if Stephen King took his name off of it, he wasn't like, hey, like, you can't make these direct ties to the first one. So I'm glad that they kept that all in, but this is the part that bothers me, because the taxidermist says, yeah, I examined Church, he also had dead blood, he was dead, and then he says when Creed killed his wife, she was already dead. So to me, the ending of the first movie is really left open for debate, because, spoiler, I guess, at the end, Lewis, who is the main character, his wife comes back because he's buried her after she's been killed, right? And it's left open to your interpretation whether he wanted to kill her or whether he was just like, well, pretty much everyone's dead, like, I want to be with my wife and my son, I'm gonna let her kill me or whatever. And this movie is telling us what the ending was, and that bothers me. So that's my only gripe with it, and it's kind of a nerdy thing, but
at least
anyways.
it was from the same director.
Yeah, but I just don't like that they're telling me what the canon is. I don't know, whatever. I liked, because in my version of it, she kills him. That's the version that I like. So they're basically saying the opposite, and that's why I don't like it.
Yeah.
Whatever, Nathan. So basically he just like laughs and Chase leaves. So this is the scene we get of Gus just like stripping a bunch of bunnies, which I hated. And then they're at dinner. I assume they're also eating the bunnies. I don't know.
Yeah, he sells like rabbit meat and shit. But
Right.
To rewind a second, when he's skinning the bunnies, he's also smoking a cigarette and like chuckling to himself about nothing, which is fucking hilarious to me.
And the boys are just like watching him like, this is totally normal. This is fine. So he's
They were
basically
probably just like, look, he's not hitting me right now, so that's better
Okay, but
than
he's
me,
dead.
I guess.
He's a fucking zombie, man. I just think it's funny that like until Gus literally murders a child, they just are totally like, we got away with this, man, and they're like high-fiving and they're like, no one's gonna know he's dead, and I'm just like, what? So what? Okay. So yeah, so Gus is like eating dinner and flopping around, and he basically like, you get a lot of scenes of like, you can tell by looking at him that like something bad is going to happen, because he's like really kind of like scary aggressive one minute, and the next minute he's like burping in Jeff's face, and then they're all just like laughing, and I'm like, that's not concerning at all. But then Oh yeah, burps in his face, and then they're like all laughing, and then all of a sudden he's like really creepy again, and you get the shot of like his neck wound leaking, and Drew's like, ugh.
Also, in this scene is maybe my favorite scene of the whole movie. Is Gus is like stuffing his mouth full of mashed potatoes and also laughing the whole time, and there's like these fucking mashed potatoes just falling out of his mouth. It's so fucking sickening.
Oh, I hate it. So, oh yeah, okay. So Jeff is spending the night there. So, Chase's dad is home alone, and decides that he's gonna like lock up the house. But after Zowie has already somehow broken into the house, don't know how like a huge ass dog just like snuck in there, but whatever.
Very stealthy.
So this is where he has his nightmare. And basically he is well, okay, the reason that this part is confusing too is because like he lays down and there's like this weird blue tint over it, and you even get that dreamy like wiggly screen sequence like like he's falling into a sleep. But then when he wakes up, it's still blue in there, so I don't really know. But so basically, his wife Renee shows up, and she's just like, "I can come back," and then they're gonna port. Basically, this is when you see the boobs, and he's like,
Yes.
"Oh yeah," and he's like rubbing them and stuff. But then her head is a demon dog head again, and he's alarmed. This is not his fantasy, okay? But then it turns into Zowie, who is attacking him in real life, I guess. Because there's like no, yeah. So I don't know. Are people having these nightmares, or is Zowie now like a mind controlling dog? He's like, imagine me as a woman. You know? Anyways, and then they fight, and Chase tries to shoot him, but he just jumps out a window. And Chase is like, wow, that was weird. So then the next day, you just get this like little thing where Jeff is kind of like wondering if everybody comes back to life, like how Gus did. And Drew says that he thinks it depends on how they were before they died. So, kind of like obviously like you could tell by Zowie, but the reputation is that when you bury somebody who is like a normal person, they come back as a psycho. And Gus was a psycho, and he came back as, I want to just say goofy, because he's not, he obviously has, they come back wrong basically, and so he comes back sort of like not as big of a guy, like a jackass
kind of
as
like
before, but
he's like a caveman, kind of.
yeah.
Almost.
So yeah. So, but because he is a zombie or whatever you want to call them, he does have like these tendencies, which we find out later. So, basically, I guess Jeff is trying to decide if he wants to, like, just know, like, things are weird. Anyways, so this is they part ways. Clyde is, so they part ways. Drew on their bikes. Drew, basically Clyde, who is the bully, rides by on his is it a dirt bike? I don't know. I don't know anything about things that aren't just regular bikes, but it's like some kind of little dirt bike, right? It's Rod's bike, hot Rod, and
no pedals on it.
With the pedals, yeah. And he is riding his little bike with his trench coat and his cross earring, just blowing in the wind like you do. He catches up to Jeff and just like kicks him into a ditch. And
This
so
is like,
basically
he just tries to murder Jeff, basically.
Like pretty much, yeah. And I'm like, this is more than just a bully, I feel. So he pushes him down into the ditch, and then he goes down there, and he's like, your dad's not here to save you now. And he like, I don't even know how to describe. Basically, he like turns the bike upside down and starts like moving the pedal so that the bike is going really fast, and he's basically threatening to shove Jeff's face like into the spokes of the
which
bike.
Sounds horrendous.
And says he's gonna like shave his nose off or something, and I was like, okay, that's normal. And like again, like I said in the beginning, this is the only part of the movie that I remember at all. And so then Gus shows up and is Clyde like tries to like tell him off or something, and I'm like, he's an adult. He does not give a shit
He's
about
also
you.
like
And he's
the
kind of
sheriff of the town or whatever.
right. And basically like tells Jeff to leave, and he does. And then so so basically he does the same thing to Clyde that Clyde did to Jeff, but with the dirt bike. And so he like has him on the ground, and he's like revving the dirt bike right in Clyde's face. But then Clyde's like scarf gets caught in the spokes, and it just like like jams his head into the tire. And Gus was just like, "Whoops!"
I like that he's like, well, that's an oopsie, and then just like keeps going.
Just doubles
Just like,
down.
well, it's committed already, so.
And like this is like part of the he's just like, "Oh, my bad," which is like really funny, and basically just like continues to like mow Clyde's face in. And of course Drew sees this happening and it's just like, that's concerning. And
There's good and bad here.
but yeah, at least Clyde's dead, but also Gus is a murderer, so probably I need to do something about that. Gus just like looks up at him and his face is just like covered in blood, and he's just like, "Hey man." So Drew rides his bike home. Not really sure how he like outruns a car, but that's fine. Runs into the house and gets his gun, and then Gus is like sitting out front in his police car, and he like gets on the megaphone, and he's just like, "This is the police. Come out with your hands up." Which I thought was very funny. So basically both Zowie and Gus, the two zombies in this movie, are both in the house, and they're basically like on either side of Drew, and he's like, "Well, this is not great." And Drew tries to shoot Gus, but there's no bullets in his gun, and so basically he gets like chased around a bunch by both of them. Gus is just like destroying their house, and Drew eventually gets upstairs and goes out a window. His mom pulls up in a car, and he's like, "Oh my God, Mom, like he's trying to kill me, like we gotta go." And then Gus just like jumps down onto the roof of the car and is just like, "Hey baby," and they're like, "Oh my God." And so they when he like, smashes their window, and he's got like a hammer, right, she's just like, "What? Oh Gus." Then they drive off, and he chases them in his police station wagon, as you do. And there's this like great scene where he's like chasing them, and he pulls up next to them, but he's like on the side of the road, like in the dirt, so they can't like pull over or whatever. And he's just like grinning and staring at them, like not blinking. And I was like, that is so terrifying. So basically there's a truck coming the other way, and he like swerves into them, so they collide with the truck, and essentially they get crushed by potatoes, which
That's how I want to go.
That's how I want to go out.
is yeah, exactly.
Kill me with potatoes.
I was gonna ask
Pretty
earlier.
much.
I was like, did they ever say what happens with Drew? And then I forgot this whole scene like existed.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah.
That's right.
The potatoes.
He got turned into
the
mashed
potato
potatoes.
incident
It makes
of 92.
it makes the mashed potatoes at the dinner
Exactly.
time it's like the foreshadowing, you know.
That's what I was thinking earlier. So basically then you just get a scene of Gus going back to like put Clyde's body in like a body bag, and you're like, oh, that's weird. So you see a news report about how Drew and his mom died, and Marjorie's like, hey, like, how is Jeff holding up with it? And Chase is like, oh, I haven't talked to him. I was like, okay, great, dad of the year here, I guess. So then he decides that he's going to go up to the attic where Jeff is and like talk to him about, how his best friend just died. And so Jeff has like basically unpacked all of his mom's stuff so that the attic sort of looks like a movie makeup set or whatever, and he's wearing a tux, and basically he's like he's basically just like, hey, like we can bring her back, and Chase is like, that's not true, like this is crazy, blah blah blah, gets a phone call and leaves. And this is when you know that Jeff has snapped, because he just like curls up on the foot of her bed and he does not stop smiling like a creep for the rest of the movie. So Chase finds out that his wife basically has been dug up from the cemetery. And so he goes there, tells Marjorie to watch Jeff, and, you know, it goes to the cemetery, finds out that it was Gus that took his wife, and that I don't really know why this detail matters either, though, but I'm pretty sure that he said that Gus also took Drew and Amanda, the mom, because, like, you don't ever see them again. So I don't really know what the point of that was. So then Marjorie, like a piece of trash, immediately falls asleep when she's supposed to be watching Jeff. Like, Chase was not gone that long, and she's like, just falls asleep.
I mean, same. I would too. Jeff seems
No,
pretty
you wouldn't.
boring.
So, of course, Jeff sneaks out. He goes to the burial grounds where Gus has somehow just like brought his mom's entire headstone and flowers to it, and says, "You bury your own." So Jeff buries his mom. So then Marjorie wakes up and she like hears a noise, so she goes upstairs or something, and she sees Renee's dress and is like, "Duh, I better put this dress on," like a psycho. So she does. This whole scene is crazy. So Chase, having found out that Gus took his wife's body, goes to Gus's house and is immediately attacked by Zowie, of course, and this is where he gets his neck wound. He shoots Zowie, and that is unfortunately the end of Zowie. R.I.P. again. So Chase goes into the house, and it is absolutely trashed. There's like rabbits hanging everywhere. There's like upside down crosses. It's just like crazy. And Chase is like, what is going on? And Gus is like obviously unhinged at this point. So Chase tries to shoot him. Yeah. That's when like the
Just
shit
now.
really hit the fan. Yeah.
The
Like
hinge is
before,
gone now.
yeah, it is. It's gone. It fell. So he shoots him. Gus like flips the table over on him, and they're like fighting or whatever. And he's basically just like, "Hey, why'd you dig up my wife?" And he says it's because he wants to pork her. And he's like, "I had her first." And I was like, ugh, gross. So,
A fucking asshole to the end.
for real though. Oh yeah, I forgot. And then Gus takes a drill gun and drills into Chase's neck.
Seems so terrible.
I feel like the only thing worse than having a neck wound is like somebody
Drilling
using
into
a
it
drill
after.
into it. Yeah, pretty gross. And so then Gus says, "No brain, no pain. Think about it." I was like, all right, I guess. And but then, so Gus is like starting to choke Chase, and then Chase shoots him like through the bottom of his mouth and shoots him a bunch. Basically, now Gus is dead. Not R.I.P. because you were the worst.
The P stands for poop.
Rest in poop. I like it, yes. So then Marjorie has put on Renee's dress, and she's like doing her makeup, and Renee shows up and is basically just like, "You could never be me," which again, don't really get the idea she was trying to be. She's just like a normal person who liked, like, I don't know. I feel like she, aside from the fact that she fell asleep and literally didn't do the one thing she was supposed to do, I feel like she gets the short end of the stick here. But so then you basically get this like cutaway of Renee like breaks the mirror and has like a shard of mirror, and obviously is going to wound Marjorie somehow, but it like cuts away, so you don't really know. And And then there's like this scene of Jeff just like rocking in a rocking chair, and then he hears Marjorie screaming, so he's like, "Oh yeah!" And so he gets up and goes to the attic because his mom's alive, and so he sees Renee, and at this point she looks totally just like a normal, like she looks like how she did in real life, and I was like, seems fake, but okay. And then Chase finally shows up, and he sees that Marjorie is on the bed. So he rolls her over, and that's when you see her face is like all jacked up, and she has like the mirror shard in her ear. So she's dead.
It seems terrible.
Yeah, I can't really tell the effects that they did on her face. I can't really tell what happened. Like, I guess she just like scratched her face. I don't know, because her eyeball is like exposed or something.
Weird.
I don't know. So he sees Renee, and she's basically just like, "Hey, boo, let's make it work this time." And he's like, I don't think so, because you're definitely dead. So then Renee tells Jeff to go downstairs, and he tries, but then Zombie Clyde shows up, and they fight. They start fighting. Meanwhile, Renee is just like laughing in the background, and that's when you're like, "Oh yeah, she's probably also not the hingiest." And
Also lacking in hinges.
yeah, yes. I looked away, so I don't really know what happened. Chase gets knocked out somehow, I think, and Jeff and Clyde are just like wrestling again, as they do, and Renee is like wrecking the place. She's like knocking shit off, whatever. So
based on how people are supposed to like not come back the same, why is Clyde still a dick?
I mean, so that doesn't make sense, because there should be a period where he is normal before he kind of like goes psycho, because it's kind of like, even if they come back not like they were before, they still all have these like homicidal tendencies because they're dead and they crave the living things, basically. I don't know why Clyde came back and was a dickhead so fast. I have no idea.
Huh. All right.
So yeah, continuity issues.
Blaming Stephen King.
That's the only thing about this movie that doesn't make any sense. Okay.
I mean, pretty much.
So yeah, they're wrestling. Jeff eventually pops Clyde's eyeball, and at this point, Renee is lighting shit on fire. So the attic is on fire at this point. Clyde has an axe, and he tries to hit Jeff, but Jeff moves, and he like axes a cord from the circuit breaker, I guess. So there's just like a live wire on the floor. And eventually Jeff puts the wire in Clyde's mouth, and he gets electrocuted. So pretty interesting in this movie. We have like 2 electrocution deaths. Because normally you don't have one, so,
I was surprised that's not how, like, I figured that should be the way he killed his mom again.
That's what I thought too when I saw it, and I was like, wow. But then they wanted us to think that.
Well, they did.
That's right. So finally we see that Renee's face is actually messed up. And basically the heat from all the fire is like making her wounds bust open, which is pretty gross because she like starts melting, and she says, "I'm melting." And Jeff realizes that she's, a zombie, and is basically just like, probably we should leave now. So he basically like axes the door open so that he and his dad can get out, and his mom is like yelling the whole time, and she says, "Stay with me. Dead is better." And she's just like screaming, "Dead is better." From the first movie.
I mean, also good advice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and so then the mom melts, like literally just melts, and she is a skeleton. So R.I.P. again. So then basically Jeff and Chase just drive out of Ludlow in a van, and there's weird cameos of everybody who died on the trees.
Yeah, that was
and
weird.
then we get an aerial shot of the Pet Sematary, and then that is Pet Sematary 2.
What a
Woo!
weird movie.
Yeah. Not bad. actually.
Good movie.
Yeah, I like it.
And I just want to add that the reason I think this movie is so much better than the original is I've only ever seen the original Pet Sematary like twice, because the first time I saw it I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me, because you could punt a toddler. Okay, you could okay, you could kill a cat. You could just like step on a cat and it would die. You know what I mean? I'm like,
what if that
sequel,
toddler
it's like,
has a...
could you fight off a very large dog? No, I probably couldn't.
What if-
I certainly couldn't fight off like a grown Clancy Brown zombie cop.
What if the toddler...
No, yeah,
But
that's
this baby fucking bothered me so much. Running, he's got like the scalpel, and he's like going down the hallway. You could put him inside of a box, and like he can't get. It's a baby, you know what I mean?
I feel
you could put him in a wired dog crate, and that's it.
I feel
the
like,
end of the movie.
knowing me, I probably would get murdered by that baby. I would just see it holding like a scalpel and be like, well, this is it.
Hello, darkness,
Yes.
my old friend. I feel like the cat could kill me because I would be like, oh, he's cute.
Oh, this nice
and like try and
cat.
pick him
It is
up.
a really nice looking cat.
To be fair, though, like, Church doesn't really do anything besides be scary. He's just like, rah! Like, he's just like a normal cat. He's like, please don't touch me. Like, just leave me alone. Whereas this dog is like constantly just attacking people. So, yeah, he's not really that scary compared to the dog. But
I want to also know if you guys have seen this movie from about the same time, a made-for-TV movie called Strays, and it has the same cat actor that Church is.
aw,
And
no, I
it's a
haven't.
mo-
I have never heard of it.
Oh my god, it's this made-for-TV. It's really fucking good. It's this made-for-TV movie about this like this old lady. She like feeds all these cats, this like crazy old like woman that lives in the woods, and she's got like hundreds of cats that she like feeds. And this is like, then like she dies. So then this nice like picturesque like white family is like, oh, we're gonna move into this lady's house. It was like early 90s, late 80s, I think. So they move into her house, and they're like, oh no, like what's that? Like we hear noises in the night, and it's the fucking cats are come to terrorize the family, and the whole family dies from the cats, and it's really good. But the gray cat Church is like the leader of the cats.
Aw, I found it on
movie.
IMDb.
The Vinegar Syndrome Blue K or 4K release.
The tagline is, "They say cats have 9 lives. Will one of them be yours?"
Perfect.
Nice. Nice.
Oh my gosh, Kathleen Quillan is in it. Okay, I'm gonna try and figure out how to watch this.
If it's a made-for-TV
Nice.
movie, it's probably on YouTube somewhere.
I'm gonna try and find it. It looks great.
All right. Do you guys... so, Megan, we do shout-outs each episode. So if you have, like, something you've just particularly been into lately, do you want to tell people about? I already know what it's going to be.
I am playing Animal Crossing and
I'm so jealous.
Luigi's Mansion 3, which I've almost beaten. And I did 3 jigsaw puzzles this week. And I'm listening to a lot of yacht rock still.
So
What is yacht rock?
Same as normal.
Steely Dan, like Jerry Rafferty, you
Okay.
know, stuff
I
that
have-
you listen to like on vacation.
That's a good idea. I have never in my life wished I had jigsaw puzzles more than the current moment. My mom
I just
is like
literally
obsessed with
bought
them.
4. I just bought 4 of them. One of them is arriving today in the mail. I think it got here already. So I'm going to be doing a jigsaw puzzle tonight.
Hopefully, I just found out that somebody bought me Animal Crossing as an early birthday present. So
Yes!
hopefully by
Oh my
the
gosh,
time
come to my island. Come to my island, please.
okay, by the time that this episode comes out, I will hopefully be playing it if it ever gets to me because I was supposed to get it last week. So we'll see. Thanks, Amazon.
Kit, you want to shout something out?
Godzilla movies, I guess. I've just been
Nice.
all I've been doing is watching Godzilla movies.
Oh, nice.
It's a balm for my stupid, anxiety-racked brain.
All right, what about you, Katie?
I am just gonna shout out basically other things that we've shouted out before, but I just wanted to support them that are doing like special deals for this thing that's happening to us right now. Valancourt Books, which we've talked about before, if you go to their website, valancourtbooks.com, they're doing free shipping right now, which is super helpful because shipping books is really expensive. They have a bunch of deals on there, but then if you visit their Twitter, which is Valancourt_B, I think they have a link where you can download a bunch of free audiobooks. I downloaded like 10 of them. So that's super awesome because normally these books are like $25. So if you have Audible, it's like they give you a code that you can redeem it free through that. Shudder is doing a free month trial, and you can use the code SHUTIN. And then the other one is Fangoria is doing, if you go to their website, they're doing 2 free months on their like digital stuff. So if you want to read and watch and listen to other horror stuff, those 3 platforms. And then I do have one news.
All right, well,
You have
just
news?
one.
Yeah. Just one.
My shout out is Ernest Goes to Jail. Everybody watch Ernest Goes to Jail.
Yes, the best Ernest.
All right, what's your one news?
The only reason that I am telling news is because you will see why. So basically, there's a new movie coming out that's called Abominable.
Yeah.
Do you guys know who the director is?
I don't, but I know it's not whoever directed the good Abominable.
No.
Ron Howard.
So
Ron Jeremy.
no, it is Jamal Burden, who directed Elves.
Oof.
Oh no.
So
I thought this nightmare was over.
Yeah. You're gonna make us watch that, aren't you?
Yeah. Okay, the tagline is, "It wasn't supposed to exist."
I mean, probably correct.
Like, as in, yeah, the movie. So I'm not really sure. You know, luckily, Nathan was the only one that had to watch Elves, but that's my news.
Hard pass. Megan, thank you for being on and finally making me
Thank
watch
you.
this movie.
Yeah, because I don't
really
think
good movie.
I don't think I ever would have rewatched it. So I'm glad I did.
I really appreciate that, Katie, because I know you're a big fan of the first one, and I think like most people are either die hard like first one is better, or like no, the sequel is better.
I still personally think that the first one is better, but I think this movie is like, even if you haven't seen the first one and don't have all the context clues, like I think it's still worth watching. But
Yeah, it
having-
definitely works as a standalone movie.
yeah.
I think.
But then, like,
Yeah.
having the knowledge of the first stuff, like, adds to it for me, which I feel like is really hard for sequels that don't have, like, the original writers or whatever, because this was a different writer. I feel like it's hard to do that. So I think that they did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Megan, do you want to tell people where they can find you when you're not banned from Twitter?
Is that
you
ever?
Can find me. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Couch Slut, COUCHSLUT. Although something weird has been going on with my account for like the past week, like since the last time I got banned, like a week ago. Like my tweets aren't showing up, so who knows what's happening.
Shadow banned.
But that's where I am. Or you can
conservative,
we have a new
like conservative tweets get you shadow banned.
Yeah, but we have a new record coming out this summer, so you can find me on that.
Yeah, and just look up Couch Slut on Bandcamp and go listen to their, 2 full lengths and a split?
Yeah.
They are all very good. I'll probably put, like, a clip of a song somewhere in this episode.
You should put the clip of Jeff's naked mom boobs with the dog head is what you should put there.
I'll just do that, but then just, like, the feedback from Won't Come just laced under it.
Ooh, nice.
I don't even know if I can figure out how to edit that together. Yeah, thanks for coming on. And whenever we get to Hard Rock Zombies, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh shit, yeah.
All right, you can
Awesome.
follow us on Twitter at IBSuffer and Instagram at IBSuffer Podcast and all the other bullshit I normally say at the end of these episodes. I'm tired. I don't care for pitching shit right now. Unless you want to send me a bunch of money, I don't care.
Yeah, they had 81 episodes to do all that stuff, so they're not doing it. They're
Fuck
not
you,
gonna
you're
do
not.
it.
All right.
You know what? No, like you guys could go give us reviews and give us like your mashed potato recipe, because
There we go.
people do different mashed potatoes, and I want to know.
Yeah, I want at least one
What?
person to give us a recipe and an iTunes review. That's it.
Yeah. Come on.
All right, fuck it.
Cowards.
I hope you suffer, but why?